Ashley, and we're coming at you live from Boston on a Monday night.
Not on a Monday night.
Oh.
Well, we were supposed to be recording 2 episodes yesterday.
Yeah.
But there was a series of unfortunate events.
Yeah. Some fortunate, some unfortunate.
Yeah. Essentially, we were going to host our couples episodes, or we were going to record the couples episode yesterday. And Mr. Matthew woke up with some stomach pains and ended up in the emergency room. So that was a little unfortunate. The fortunate event that came out of it is that he is fine. He will be okay. And by default, Ashley and I got tickets to the Boston Wine Expo.
How else would this play out?
Literally.
So Courtney's over here. We decided to just do our episode that you listened to last week.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, we'll just do this one, me and you. We finish up. She's like, would you and Joe want to go to like the Wine Expo? Obviously Matt can't go now, but we have these tickets. And then I think your wheels started turning. You're like, wait, actually, like I could go too. Maybe you and I should just go if Joe doesn't want to go. I'm like, of course Joe doesn't want to go. It's me and you. So Courtney and I go to the Boston Park Plaza for this Wine Expo. I don't even know. I've never heard of this before.
Nope. I don't know what the target
audience
audience
how you
is.
get tickets.
We don't know,
Are
but
you supposed to be buyers of like wine and spirits? Maybe bars, restaurants, restaurant groups. I'm not sure.
well, what was very confusing to me is that it was like, or I guess I'll take it back for a second. We show up. Half of the venue is dedicated to wine, which makes sense. The other half was dedicated to spirits. And you just walked around as if you were at like a career fair, if you will.
Yes, very career fair vibes.
And it's representatives of wines, but they weren't the winemakers themselves necessarily.
No.
It was people that worked for like larger brand wines, like Oyster Bay from New Zealand. Like
Shout out.
They weren't from, shout out.
At
What
the
was his name?
time,
Randolph or
we
something?
probably had a whole bottle of wine just at that one table.
Yeah, but essentially you just walk around to each table and you just have a wine glass and you sip.
Yeah. So they give you a did we bring those wine glasses home?
I'm going to freak out.
I feel like we left them at the restaurant.
That would be really sad.
That would be super sad.
You haven't seen them?
No.
No.
Anyways, so you walk in and you get this. We're going to look for it after.
Yeah.
But you get this wine glass and you just basically take this glass around and they'll swish out your glass of wine. They have buckets of wine that you would like dump your excess in.
Yeah.
And they'll just give you tastings. And it's kind of funny. I don't know why I felt so superior. Because, like, we'd go up and they'd be like, well, this is this wine. And you have to try this wine. And I don't know what they're trying to sell us on. Because, like, we're not buying wine.
Right.
I don't think. Unless we were supposed to do that.
No, I think it's, like, brand recognition. Because they were like, oh, if you like this one, be sure to, like, take a photo of it. And so you remember to get it next time you see it or whatever.
Yeah, so regardless, it was so much fun. So Court and I are just bopping around, and then we're like, okay, we need a break from the wine.
We're getting hammered.
So naturally, we're gonna go to the liquor section, the spirits, if you will.
Yep.
Where we may or may not have gotten like 3 potential new podcasts.
So we're turning into an alcohol entrepreneurship show. If y'all didn't know. We met some really cool, like, they were more small businesses. Like, the spirit side was, like, people who made these amazing, like, canned cocktails or this natural vodka that has electrolytes in it. Like, very, like, niche iterations of what we all know and love. And the founders of the companies were there themselves. So, naturally, I had my hat on, my little business hat, my little networking hat.
Literally.
And I was like, well, Ashley and I, we have this Boston-based podcast.
Immediately, their eyes, like, light up.
And thank God we had a viral video that got us more followers on Instagram, because how embarrassing.
We only have 300 followers.
And they're like, oh my God, you have a podcast? Let me follow you. And it's like these 2 bitches on microphones in their living room who have 200 followers.
No, like the FOMO, or not the FOMO, but like the nerves I had when this guy of the seltzer brand like pulls up our thing and I see him to start scrolling. And I'm like, oh my God, please don't do this in front of me. I'm going to like throw up. But then we found out we had like double the amount of
followers.
Yeah, which made me feel a little better.
For sure.
So I was like, okay, We're on top, are we? So anyway, so
we
look
have
out.
something for the people.
Yeah, we do. And we have a great audience that they would love to get in front of.
Well, it really made sense. Like we found ourselves in conversations with some really cool people, and they were selling to us, you know, like we were their demographic, and we're like, 100%. Well, if you're interested, they had some cool stories. Why don't you come on the pod? And it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. So it was really fun to, I don't know, not get something out of the experience, but like, like we made contacts.
We did.
And I just had so much fun bouncing around. Court and I literally met this one table. We went out to like take a break, and another table came up and approached us and was like, we saw you guys talking to X, like, can I come show you our table? And I was like, yes, you can.
Guys, are those the good vibes that you can do both co-hosts put out into the world?
Like the best vibes.
No, it was just fun. And I think people think that we spend so much time together.
Yeah.
And in reality, outside of the podcast, unfortunately, we don't.
No.
Because the podcast consumes so much of our lives, and we're both busy individually. So when we have things like that, moments, we have the best days of our lives.
Literally the best.
And it's like, wait, why don't we do that more
often? We need to do that more. There's just not enough time in the day.
No, exactly.
Which stinks. But when we do have it, it's like, this is right. This feels correct.
There's something in the air.
There is really something in the air. So long story short, we were there for an hour and 45 minutes, got absolutely hammered.
I felt like we were there for 3 hours.
I know. We were there till they had to kick us out.
Yeah.
And then we got an extra wine glass full to accompany us on the tour of Courtney's gym that we then decided. Did you forget about that?
Yes. So my gym was close to where the Expo was. And I was like, Ashley, I've always wanted to show you my gym. You want to go? And so we did just that. And we hid our wine glasses in our coats, and we walked around the gym,
sipping wine.
Honestly,
unacceptable, but in the moment I was just having so much fun.
Yep. And then we found ourselves walking to Newbury Street, stopping to vlog along the way.
We were watching videos before we sat down to
peeing ourselves laughing.
It's like so cringeworthy. Courtney and I, oh my God, we're just telling the camera things that nobody's ever gonna see. These videos are not gonna supply today. Nobody's seeing them, but we're like. And then we got, like, just telling the details that, for why. But for those laughs, I guess.
Yes, for sure. And thank God, because that filled me in on some of my day, you know?
Yeah.
But we ended up walking to Facha, which has been a Boston Rec of the Week before on Newbury Street.
It's really so good.
And we had unbelievable drinks and little appetizers.
I tried caviar for the first time.
Yeah.
In our very drunk state, we decided to order mozzarella sticks with caviar on top.
Elite.
Honestly, so good.
Like, so good.
Oh, that's probably one of the best food restaurants, period, in Boston. But it's just so expensive. Anyways, long story short, that's where we ended up. And then Angel Joe came and picked us up.
Angel Joe.
And then nothing else got accomplished that day.
Absolutely nothing. Half of my Monday was doing all the chores that I had planned on doing yesterday but didn't get to.
One thing I will say, though, day drinking is really elite.
Oh, yes.
As long as you're not planning to go out after. Because I went to bed at 9 p.m. last night. My head on the pillow, lights out, 9 p.m.
Unreal.
I got like 10 hours of sleep last night.
Unreal.
It was incredible.
Yeah. And my experience is I passed out drunkenly. When I woke up, I was hungover from my little nap, which was perfect because I wasn't going to be hungover when I woke up this morning.
Right.
So then I just chugged water and ate food for a few hours before going back to bed for equally as long of a night's sleep.
And that's something beautiful.
It is something beautiful.
It is something beautiful. Anyway, so that's our story time. We were really excited to tell you guys that.
Because we did something fun and spontaneous together, which rarely ever happens.
You know, those are moments I wish I vlogged, like, the whole thing so we could share it with you guys. You could be there with us.
Guys, I don't know if y'all are daddy gang, but
that makes me want to throw up.
I don't know if anyone listens to call her daddy, but one of her most recent episodes Ashley sent to me. She's like, you have to watch this. It was a vlog styled podcast episode. And like, that is like the dream.
Literally so cool. And we could do that with like Spotify because we can upload it straight to there. But essentially it was a YouTube video, but like half the time she had like a mic.
Yeah, exactly.
Which was so cool.
Exactly. And she was going around Italy for Fashion Week. She was in Milan. And granted, she had like a whole production crew and whatever.
Yeah.
But it just really felt like you were there. Like, I feel like she has similar vibes to us. And I don't know. I love her. She's so good.
She's just good vibes all around. But I love the vlog style rather than just sitting and watching somebody talk.
Yep. Speaking it into existence, everybody.
Yeah, it was really cool. So we're probably going to do something like that.
Yeah. Anyhow,
Boston Rec of the Week would be the Wine Expo. Look it up next year. It only happens once
Don't
a
miss
year.
it. I think
have no idea how you find out about it. But
I know. No. Well, now we know it happens in March. It happens once a year. And I think it's around $60 a person. And then you
Which
literally
is honestly such a steal.
And you have 2 hours to drink around the world, essentially.
Yeah.
And with that, shall we get into today's topic?
Yeah. Buckle up.
Buckle up. I don't know how this one's going to go. So Ashley and I were not planning on having a topic prepared for today.
Yeah.
Because we were supposed to have the guys one. And so we locked eyes on each other and we were like, what are we doing? Approximately an hour and a half ago.
Yep.
But we think it's going to be a good one after we talked it out for a bit.
Yeah. One thing about Court and I is we can really make anything work.
Yeah.
We started with nothing and now I'm like, oh, this is going to be quality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you intro.
So with that, Ashley and I's birthdays are around the corner. I think the week this is being released, it might actually be the week of my birthday.
Yeah.
And Ash is not too far behind, and we're both turning.
Your birthday is literally a week from tomorrow, right? Isn't it on a Tuesday?
It's the 4th. Yeah. It's a week from tomorrow.
That's crazy.
Why?
I don't know what I'm gonna get you. I'm so stressed. I hate gift giving.
I just need your presents. That's all.
That's what everybody says. Anyways, sorry. I just cut you off.
You're fine. But we're both turning 25 this year.
Oh.
And it's giving quarter life crisis.
It's absolutely giving quarter life crisis. But honestly, in the best way.
Yeah.
I think 25 is such a prime age.
It is.
But sometimes you need reminders of why it's all good and dandy.
Exactly. And so as we're thinking about our birthdays and just about life in general, I feel like a common theme right now has been people in funks.
Yeah.
And just like literally what is life? Like asking myself that every single day for the most part. And I think you have that kind of sentiment when birthdays are approaching in general. It's like you kind of reflect on what's happened in your life, where you thought you were going to be, and then where you want to go forward. I think birthdays are a great time, even better than like a new year, to reflect on life and your goals and what have you. So today we just really wanted to talk about like what the fuck do we want to talk about?
Navigating your 20s and the uncertainty around it.
That's it. So we wanted to talk about not me fully losing my train of thought as I'm speaking. I started so strong.
No, that was good.
But no, it's specifically 25 is an age where you're not really a child anymore. You feel like you're a little bit more legitimate. I'm just gonna fucking stop talking. I have one sentence I need to get out. Just one more.
And we're back.
So 25. It's an age where you kind of feel like you're a bit more legitimized and you kind of have a sense of who you are, at least you're supposed to. But then to a similar token, you also feel so young at the same time, and like you still have so much of your 20s to live out. And so I think us specifically, and hopefully a lot of you can relate to the fact that like it's okay to not know what is going on, and it's okay for like dualities to coexist. Like you feel really good about yourself and who you are, but then you also have this imposter syndrome, and at the same time, like you have no idea who you are, and it differs depending on the day, depending on the aspect of your life. And so we just wanted to bring some light to that.
Yeah, 100%. I just feel like 25, that age just embodies this uncertainty because you are smack dab in the middle of 20, which is so young. In college. In the US, you can't even legally buy alcohol
Literally.
Between 30, which is like a whole new, I mean, that just seems so far away.
Yeah.
But then you're just right in the middle, and it's like, do I identify closer to 30, closer to 20? Both of those things seem so distant to where we are right now. So this episode is meant to remind you that nobody knows where they're supposed to be. You're not alone. I feel like some days, maybe you're listening to this on a day where you're like, what are these girls talking about? I am so confident in where I am. Like, I'm on top of the world. But then literally the next day, you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? I have no idea.
Yeah.
So this is just life, and it's a roller coaster. And I think everyone just needs these little reminders.
Yeah. That was really profound.
Oh my God, you think?
Yeah. Let's say that first sentence again. You said something. You said.
What did I say? You know the TikTok where it's like, what did I say? I talk a lot. Oh my God. Guys, we're like having laughing fits throughout this. I don't know why.
Episode.
It just feels, I don't know.
Because we don't know what we're talking about. And that's the point.
That is the point. Honestly, look at that.
That's the point. We don't
That's
know.
Beautiful.
That's profound, isn't it?
Profound.
Profound. But yeah, we've decided to segment the episode out, as we always do, into different topic areas of our lives to make it a little bit more digestible. And so the first
we broke it down into 4 sections. So first one is career. So by 25, you know, you're in college. Let's take it back.
Yep.
And everyone's applying to get these internships and jobs, and you graduate, ideally with a job. And you're like, all right, I got this thing figured out. You're 22 years old. By 25, back then, you'd probably be like, oh, like, I've been promoted. Like, I know what I'm doing. Like, in the beginning, it's all, oh, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to try this out. I'm not really sure. But when you look at the age 25 from your freshly graduated viewpoint, you're like, oh, she should know what she's doing. Like, by the time I'm there, I should know where I want to go. And that is just simply not the case. I mean, both of us are actually still at the same companies. So, like, that's probably, yes, where I expected myself to be. Yeah. But is this what I'm going to be doing forever? I'm not really sure. Do I want to be a systems analyst is that my career path? I have no idea.
Yeah.
The thought of going to any other company scares the heck out of me. I couldn't imagine interviewing again. I thought that I would feel a lot more confident in those skills by now.
Yeah.
No way. I still feel the same. I still feel lost some days. Some days I'm like, oh my God, I'm on top of the world. I love my job. I'm so good at this. Other days I feel like a complete imposter, and I'm like, how did I even get here? Yeah.
It sounds like you're in my brain, because that's exactly what I would say. I think the only difference is I don't know. I don't think I ever intended on being a person to like job hop and like move to the next thing and the next thing. But what I'm realizing is like around this 25-year-old mark, I think that's when people do it.
Definitely.
Like, especially our generation, like 2 to 3 years in, some people aren't really excited that they haven't been promoted, or other people have just like, all right, I've done it for 2 or 3 years. Like, this is enough to have on my resume for me to start applying elsewhere without it looking like I was job hopping, if that makes sense. And I don't know. I don't necessarily foresee that in my near future, but I think that's something that people are probably thinking about. I think it's very rare that you and I have been at the same company and love our companies and do whatever, but I'm starting to notice it, like on LinkedIn. People are like, oh, just started this company, or just started or just got promoted or whatever. And so me personally, I can't believe we have a podcast.
So
it's not a career yet, but like it's certainly like on the road to becoming that for us, which is so exciting.
Which is so crazy. And that kind of ties into another point in this whole career segment. We're at the point in our lives, especially in our generation, where half the time I'm like, should I still be in corporate America?
Oh my God.
I'm so young. Like, you got to start now if you want to build something, if you want to work for yourself, if you want to start something, like, now's the time to do it so that you can set yourself up for your 30s. And it's like, I don't know, but I feel really stable at my 9 to 5 and I really like it. And I think I want to do corporate America. But then I get in my head and I'm like, by the time I'm 35, am I going to look back and be like, oh, if only I started this earlier? And I just feel like there's so much pressure. But then at the same time, if our younger selves could see us now sitting on a mic, we'd be like, what?
I know.
We did that?
I know.
So maybe it's always, I don't know.
Something that I always need to remind myself is like, what you're experiencing now is only going to prepare you for whatever that next step is. So, and also in my 9 to 5 job, I'm very fortunate because I've always vocalized. I first see myself as being very like entrepreneurial in life. And I have the opportunity to befriend and meet professionally a lot of entrepreneurs in my role. And everyone is like in their 30s. Like they don't make this like huge career shift until whatever, because they had experienced so much and they've navigated their 20s to the point where they needed to in order for them to make a change. So I don't think there's ever a certain time where you need to do something. I think society puts a lot of pressure on it, but you just need to view your current experiences, whether it's corporate America, whether it's you being out on your own, is just like, at this point, it's a time to absorb as much as you can so that you can just make what you want of that information and those experiences the more you live life.
Totally. And I also think that if you're so in your head about what should I be doing? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? I think as long as you feel like you're learning something and you're growing and you're not just super complacent and like comfortable with where you're at, then I think you're in a great place.
Yeah.
But the second you start to feel a little bit too comfortable, like you could be doing more, like you have more to learn, more opportunity elsewhere, then maybe like that's a sign you should switch it up. But I think a lot of the time the grass is always greener, especially in this whole work for yourself, work for corporate America, start a side hustle. Like, you never really know. Everything's a lot of work and there's pros and cons to everything. Yeah. So as long as you're pretty happy and you're learning and you're growing, you're in a good place, and we all feel like this.
Yeah. I liked that like wording that you used, because I had just listened to a podcast recently about feeling stuck in a job or feeling like you can't, like you're not being challenged enough, or that you have a boss that's putting you down or not allowing you to grow. It's like you're going to know when you're stuck or when you're not feeling challenged or that you're ready for something new. It's probably going to come in like subtle hints, and then one day you're going to wake up and you're going to be like, I need something different. And I think in career specifically, it's very terrifying, because when you feel like you're ready for something different, it's not at your fingertips. It's something that you have to work for, and it's something that you need to once again put yourself out there and start interviewing and start meeting people. And I think when you get to the point where you like start interviewing again, like at least me, the thought of interviewing, it's like if I'm looking at job descriptions and I'm like, do I even have these skills or these can I bring something valuable to the team or to the position? And it puts you back into that college mindset, even though you're a 25-year-old fully amazing human being who has had X amount of experiences. It kind of instills that imposter syndrome.
100%. And it's scary. It's a whole new like potential chapter that's being opened.
Exactly.
Watching Joe go through that whole thing made me want to.
Yeah.
We're back with a wardrobe change. If you recognize this hat, you're an OG. All right, so I think that rounds out career. Hopefully that was relatable. I can't tell if we're just like ranting.
I think we are in the best way.
Okay, I feel like it's relatable.
It is.
That's the point. Ooh, my toes are over here. Okay, and next category, we have social. I feel like this one really hits me hard
I definitely does.
I may or may not have had a breakdown in front of Courtney and Camila after a drunk night out. They were so nice and walked me home, and I don't know what hit me. It's just like
March hit you.
March hit me like a truck, like a truck. But I just broke down. I was in tears, and all because, from what I recall, I had so much fun that night, like going out at a bar. We went to Club Cafe, this gay bar down the street. There was like DJ vibes, like ravey vibes. And if you know me from back in college, I feel like maybe this would bring you back. But essentially, I definitely resonated more with like the party girl wanting to go out and be social and go out every night. Like if any of our roommates tried to stay in, I'd be like, let's go. You're coming out. Like we're having a great night.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I kind of flipped a switch. I've talked about this before, but I tend to be a little more introverted. I drink maybe like once, or go out drinking like once a week maybe. I have no problem saying no to plans. But that night specifically, I was like, wait, am I just like am I making up this narrative that I actually don't like to go out? Because I would have never come here. Like, I don't know. I just wouldn't have gone there usually, like on my regular weekend plans. But, like, I had so much fun.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do I identify with that more? Am I just making up this narrative that I'm like a health and wellness girly? Is that really what I value? Is that really what I resonate with? I just don't know.
Well, the whole point is you can do both, you know?
Absolutely.
But I understand the more comfortable you get saying no to plans or just being home, and you are the way that you are, and I think you resonate with the health, wellness, like reading a book, watching a movie, like spending time with Joe at home, like because you actually enjoy those things.
Right.
So the more that you don't do something like going out on a Friday night, the easier it's going to be to say no to, because it becomes this like foreign concept in your mind.
It's so true.
And it can work both ways. Like if you are someone who goes out like every single day or like multiple times a week, they're going to feel how you're feeling about going out in this moment, about staying in and doing something productive for themselves, or like
That's
being
true.
healthy.
Then you're like, oh, I have FOMO. I'm so boring. Why would I stay in? Like,
Exactly.
I have to go out.
Exactly.
And it's such a balance of the two.
And also just like there's guilt on both sides, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know if I've definitely was like a party person. I'm certainly not that way anymore. And I have fun, but honestly, a lot of the times when I go out, I'm like,
I'd rather be home.
I'd rather be home. I don't feel like that all the time. It definitely depends on the environment that I'm in. Like if I'm in a bar in Southie and I'm running into people that I haven't seen in years, and I'm being forced to make small talk with people, and I'm being trampled on, I'm being hit on by drunk, stupid, short kings, I was trying to think of a nice word for just annoying men, but that's the best I could do.
That's okay.
Then that's not going to be my cup of tea. But now my ideal night out is getting a group of friends that I could actually like hold a conversation with, that I actually really care about, and going to a place like Club Cafe and like having fun in that group of people, or going to like a speakeasy or like an intimate restaurant where you could get like a table in the corner and having drinks and good vibes and thoughtful conversation, and also have fun music in the background that we could bop around to.
Yeah.
So it just looks different, I think, as you get older. And it's okay for you to maybe 1 week feel like, oh my God, I need to go out, I need to have fun with my friends. And then another week for you to literally revert back into your shell and not say anything to anybody.
Exactly.
Not see the light of day.
Cannot be contacted.
Yeah.
And I think I just wanted to bring this up because it is so important to know that like it is totally okay to want both of those things. There's one day I feel so strongly about staying in, and then the next day I could literally be like, oh my God, I just had the time of my life at a wine expo.
Yeah.
On a Sunday.
Exactly.
It's supposed to be my ritual day where I don't touch alcohol. You know? Everything's okay in moderation. And as long as it's what you want in the moment, then that's great. You should just act on it. But then the other thing socially that I wanted to say is I feel like I've also been battling, like, I want to make new friends. I want to meet new people. But then half the time I don't even have the social battery to catch up with the people in my small circle of friends that I do have. Sometimes that feels like more than enough, almost too much.
Yeah.
And then other times I'm like, oh my God, I have nobody. It's like, well, that's not true.
Yeah.
Those are like two such extremes, and you feel both ends with the same amount of people. So it's also really hard.
I know. I also think in this social space or topic, it's interesting because every person in your life is experiencing these dichotomies at different points in their lives. So for example, like I always have guilt if I decide to not go out with like my roommates that are going out, but it's like I was just traveling and I was just this and that, and like as much as I would love to go out and spend time with them specifically, like that's just not what I can particularly do. And then maybe tomorrow night I'm super excited to go out, but now they want to do a puzzle. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like this is just like one example.
Yeah.
But you are also like navigating this in reference to other people's, and it feels weird if you say no to your best friend doing something just because you need to protect your peace.
Yeah. But I think this entire era of our lives is all about protecting our peace.
Yeah.
And whether it's career, social, relationship, whatever it is, like whatever you need in that moment is the right thing that you should be doing.
1000%.
Okay, so I think that's all we wanted to say about social. Just basically balancing friendships and spending time alone, going out, staying in. Are we extroverts? Are we introverts?
Yeah.
Who knows? We're all a little mixture of both, and we could be something one day and something totally different the next.
Yeah.
But our next one is relationships. And when we say relationships, we're talking about
Dating.
Matt and Joe,
Yeah.
our boys,
Yeah.
our romantic life. Isn't it scary to think that I may have met my future husband? Like, I might be living currently with my future husband.
Yeah.
That's so scary. The father of my babies one day could be in the other room right there. I don't know. Like, that seems a little far-fetched to me. But also, it's not that unrealistic. 25 is, like, I used to date men in college. And I used to be like, yeah, we're totally going to get married. Like, knowing deep down, like, that there's just simply no way. But being at the ripe age of 25, it's really a hit or miss. I could listen back to this podcast in 5 years and literally be laughing at what I'm saying right now.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha, you thought you were going to marry him. No way, girl. No way, Jose. But like also, you'd be like, yeah, duh, we knew that. Of course that's going to happen. So we're just at such an interesting age where there's people popping out babies and getting married and engaged. 2 of my coworkers are engaged right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what? That's crazy. And then other people just got out of a 7-year relationship and are happily living their single life.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
I know. I'm in an interesting situation because if y'all didn't know, Matt is a bit older. So his friends and his siblings and everyone that I'm surrounded with from his side is married, has babies, or is pregnant, or we're going to weddings this summer for them. And so it's interesting to me. I will say what's really special about our relationship, and I think this is an indicator of just a healthy relationship regardless, is like just because he's older doesn't mean that our timeline needs to be expedited. And I've never once felt pressured to kind of grow up faster.
Yeah.
But I will say I've always been a bit more mature for my age. I've always, whenever I meet people, they think I'm at least like 28 and I'm like 24, and I feel like it's been that way for a few years. So it doesn't really, like, it doesn't change much. But I also think from maybe some of my friends or my external people, they're like, oh my goodness, like, is like, I never want, I kind of find myself thinking about this all the time. It's like, I don't want people to think that I'm being rushed when actually, like, this is just like my life, this is the pace that I'm pursuing, although it could be perceived differently because I'm dating like an older man, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
And it's also interesting because, I mean, luckily Matt is someone that can like get along with anybody and like have a good time. But at the beginning of the relationship, I was like, I don't know if I could bring this like old man around like my
Poor Matt.
friends
Listening to this.
but he's not old. Like this is
No,
like
he's not.
and these are
No,
all
but
things I vocalized to him.
Yeah.
It's like dating an older man just brings on self-inflicted problems. It's like I was very insecure in the beginning of our relationship. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but you know what? We're on besties here.
Open and vulnerable.
I remember being on our like third date, and I was getting a little drunk for sure. And I remember like asking him, like, do you think that people look at us differently because like I am younger? Like, does it look like there's
I think that's fucking crazy that you said that.
Yeah.
Because I look at you guys and it doesn't look
but it was just
weird.
an insecurity because he was the oldest man I had ever dated.
Yeah.
And I didn't know his age when we went on a first date. That wouldn't have changed anything. But like, that was just something I was hung up on for a while. Because it's like, what are other people going to think? Even though we don't look like he's an old man. You know what I mean?
Not at all. Yeah.
So that just like brought a whole other set of problems in my life, but it all self-inflicted. Like, am I going too fast because he's a bit more financially set up? Like, am I not spending enough time with my friends that are like going out and having so much fun, but like their version of fun is no longer my version of fun? Yeah. So there's just, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but
it's just, the uncertainty of like, oh my God, am I doing this right? Joe and I faced this huge dilemma because we were ready to move in together. We thought we had talked about it for a while. We're like, all right, is this like the right choice? I had so much anxiety leading up like that month into us moving in together in September. And I was like, this is either going to be the best decision I make or it's going to go up in flames and we're going to absolutely hate living together. And the reality of the situation is you're never really going to know
until you try.
And stop asking for other people's opinions. Just talk about it with your partner. And it's like, listen, we're going to try it out. We had so many honest conversations and we were both on the same page. We were like, does this mean like we're going to get married? Like, and like get engaged? Like for some reason moving in together does feel like such a step down that road. Cause like it kind of is in a way. And that's what we were both getting in our head. Cause we were both like, I don't really know. Like we can't tell the future. All we know is how we feel right now. And I'm just so thankful I didn't let my family, like external people be like, it's too soon. Don't rush it. Like I did what we thought was the best move. And I could not be happier. And I'm like, oh, there was no reason to stress about it. Like, once again, however you're feeling in the moment, if that's what you want and it feels right, you're never going to regret a decision or wish you did something else or, oh, but it could have been like this. Yeah. You can talk about that all day, but in the moment, it's like what you wanted.
Yeah. I think that's a key takeaway. It's just, I think when you start dating someone, no matter what it is, it's so weird. It's like this person that you had just met now becomes like an extension of who you are and the person that you do life with, which is so beautiful. But at the same time, like the rest of your world is like watching maybe you no longer be a part of their world. Mm-hmm. And so what you said before, just like really knowing who you are and being confident in the relationship and the partnership that you have and having open communication and also like being communicative like with the people in your life to be like, because I remember like you had sat me down at one point and you were like, yo, you're kind of moving fast, like are you sure this is it? And it's like, yeah, this is it. And so I think it's interesting that everyone's on their own timeline and like things just change as you meet other people and other people come into your life, but just try to stay true to you and what you want.
Exactly. Nobody knows these relationship things.
No, nobody knows.
Nobody knows. So,
next.
Yeah, that's all we got with that
one. With every segment, I'm like, and I'm unsettled.
Yeah. That did make me feel any better.
So maybe next episode, we bring a therapist on that can actually walk us through these problems instead of us just sharing them and vocalizing them into the world.
Okay, our last section.
We are on the last already.
Yeah, mental. Mental health.
Mentally.
How you doing mentally? So this is kind of
unwell.
Just
Not doing great.
We're going to just summarize pretty much everything that we just said, but not only are we talking about relationships and being social and your career, but kind of like your core beliefs and values. So when we were talking about this episode, I was like, Courtney, like, you were actually pretty good. I was like, what are your core values? And you're like, oh, like, you were rattling them off. Half these days, I'm like, what do I believe in? Am I religious? I don't know. What do I want to stand for? Like, what are my values? Like, what are my core values? Who do I want to align with? And half the time, I just don't know. Take a shot every time I say I don't know in this episode. But I think your 20s is a time to be figuring all of this out, and you don't need to know all the answers. And I think you can play around with different things. You can be religious one day and not be religious. I don't know where religion came in. We didn't
you're
even
like
talk
the
about
least
it.
religious
Well, I
person.
said beliefs. I said beliefs, and I was like, what do I believe in? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I need to find religion. But you can
or
talk
the stars
now.
or the crystals.
I think
you believe in crystals.
I think I'm more spiritual than religious.
Yeah.
Like, my religion is more like in the universe, as woo-woo as that sounds.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where I find the most peace.
Yeah. And I just think it's a roller coaster. Like, as cliche as that is, it's just, you feel something one day, you feel something else the next day. And I think that's what's so unsettling, because you get in your head and you're like, but you like cause your own confusion and like you create your own problems by thinking, whereas you should just be and like accept that this point in your life is the time that you probably have the least amount of responsibility, the least amount of like financial burden, in the sense that you don't have a family to take care of. Hopefully you don't have like too many expenses or loans to be paying off. And it's a time for you to just figure out what you want your next however many years of life to look like, and like constantly balancing the having fun and doing what I want in the moment while also trying to set yourself up for success. I think that's the hardest thing too. We were talking about this earlier. Like, in your 20s, you said that we're at like a fork in the middle of the road. You can either still live out your fun college, irresponsible, like just living life, vibing, or you could be like prepping for this next phase of life in your 30s and all the more to come. And you need to balance. You need to do both. Otherwise, I've met a lot of people that in hindsight are like, damn, I kind of wish I wasn't drunk on a park bench on Sundays for most of my 20s.
Yeah.
Are the memories worth it? Yes. But maybe if they have the memories, if they weren't parting their faces away the whole time. But it's just a constant battle.
I think you hear the other side and it's like, oh, you don't need to be working that hard. Like, I wish I enjoyed myself more and didn't, took the trip on the weekend and went out with my friends while they were still around and lived in my area and didn't have families to take care of.
Yeah.
It is just, again, you got to do both. But that's just, as you were saying all of that, just kind of hit me that it doesn't really... At the end of the day, yeah, okay, we're all working towards these goals. That's all great. Maybe I become a religious person. I'm like, I should have found it back then. But it's like, you kind of have to fall in love with the journey.
Exactly.
Of not knowing, of figuring out who you are, what you believe in, what your core values are, who you want to be today and maybe who you're going to be tomorrow. But I think as long as you're having fun and you're just enjoying the journey of the whole thing, that's kind of the beauty of life.
I also think that we all just need to stop like thinking about it so much.
Yeah.
It's like, just do how you're feeling. Stop thinking about what other people are going to be thinking of you, or what society tells me I need to be right now, or what I thought I was going to be 5-10 years ago. It's like, just be confident in where you are and like where you're headed, and try, when these thoughts come in about what I should be doing and, oh my God, but I'm not who I was yesterday. It's like, turn it off. We said it in the last episode that we're going to be naming our alter egos and these like little devils on our shoulder that pop into our head every once in a while. I think that practice of separating yourself from the expectation, I think can really help you just be more present and live how you want to live. And with that, I don't think you'll have any regrets when you live your life to then look back, because it's like, whatever. It ain't that deep. Nothing is ever that deep.
Nothing's
the
that
motto
serious.
of you can pull this, it ain't that deep.
Who do we think we are?
Literally, I
Imagine
don't know.
people take our advice.
Imagine. Listen, we have been getting a lot of feedback as of recent that we're relatable, you know? And that's the whole point of this.
Mm-hmm.
For those who are new to the show, welcome. We love you. We said this last episode too, but we really started this podcast because we didn't listen to anyone that we could directly relate to. Every podcaster is someone that we looked up to or that we aspired to be at one point, but no one was getting on a mic and talking about their corporate 9-to-5 struggles or literally how in the world you navigate your 20s. Everyone that we were listening to is people that were influencers that were podcasting as their full-time job. And at the end of the day, how relatable can that actually be?
Yeah, it's hard. Or they're like interviewing these entrepreneurs about X, Y, and Z and their 5 a.m. morning routine and traveling the world and how you built this. And it's like, well,
that's not me.
Inspiring,
cannot
relate.
Terrifying, yeah.
Yeah.
So hoping that this episode provided that for you. So in our final few minutes, we wanted to wrap up with our birthday plans, a lighter note, and just like the essence of birthdays in general. We alluded to it at the beginning. That's how we thought of the topic for the episode. But at the end of the day, birthday should be celebrated however you want to celebrate it. Once again, not thinking about, oh, I have to invite this person or whatever. It's like, if you want to have a very intimate gathering at your home and invite 4 of your closest people in your life, do that. If you want to rent an Airbnb and invite 20 of your friends that you've met at some point in your life, then do that.
AKA Courtney.
AKA me. But it's a celebration of life, man. Like, it's worth celebrating, whether you're turning 29 or 25 or 42. I don't think that's a particularly your demographic, but...
Yeah, but it's just, I don't know. Don't think about it too much. I feel like everything after 21, it's like, oh my God, I'm getting old. Oh my God, I'm getting old. Oh, there's more pressure. I'm getting closer to this age that I've made up in my head. And while we did just say all those things, oh, because we're 25, we feel like we should be here.
Yeah.
Don't forget that it's another year of you on this planet and you enjoying this life. And it's so beautiful. I feel like I so used to not be a birthday person.
Yeah.
And then in the past year or two, I've just been like, wow, birthdays are such a fun little moment of literally just celebrating life.
Yeah.
So happy birthday, Courtney.
Happy future birthday, Ashley.
I know, mine's like literally still kind of
a month away. More than that.
Yeah, so more to come on that. But we're officially in Aries season.
Thank God.
The
air's feeling lighter.
No, literally for last episode, we were like, why is March like such a slumpy month? Like, why is everybody in a funk? And we're like, it's got to be because it's like the Pisces, you know, like you're in your feels. Yeah. We're like, you know what? But now it's Aries, and I did feel that switch.
I felt it in the air.
Imagine being a fly on the wall and just listening to our... Well, actually, you are all the flies on the wall. Anyways, we have to go. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I feel good.
Yeah, I'm feeling lighter.
Yeah, I feel like I just dumped all of my
problems
onto you guys. So hopefully you also dumped yours. Like, you know, we're taking out the trash together.
So our episode's trash, Ashley? Is that what you just said?
No, I meant like we're dumping all those feelings. Like we're going to take out your trash and I just dumped my trash. It made sense in the head.
Enough of the trash analogies. I get where you're going.
Yeah.
But we love you. Happy drop day. Happy Thursday if you're listening on drop day. And thanks for being here as usual.
Love you. Bye.